2:13. The alert entered the queue without sound. My eyes ran across the alert, landing on the last line. Predicted loss of separation, 0:10:58. Flight 4827 was level at flight level 360, steady over the corridor. Weather, clear, traffic light. The conflict object had no filed plan. I opened the transponder panel. Object, 144F. Altitude, FL 360. Ground speed, 462 counters. Heading, 081. First detected, 0202. I checked the clock. 2:13. The system had detected the object 11 minutes ago. Ghost returns happen. Temperature inversions bend radar. Duplicate tags slip through. But ghost targets drift. They don't lock altitude and speed with this kind of precision. I ran diagnostics. Radar health, green. No spoofing alerts, no military blocks, no adjacent sector handoff, no source. The predicted separation graph showed two clean arcs converging on the same point of airspace. If neither changed course, the system calculated less than standard separation in 10 minutes. I keyed the supervisor line. Severity 2, Flight 4827, conflict tag 144F, no plan on file. Primary return? He asked. I stripped the scope to raw sweep. Flight 4827 painted normally. 144F did not. No radar body, no primary reflection, only transponder replies, clean, consistent, as if something was broadcasting identity without occupying space. Across the room, the controller confirmed Flight 4827 had received a traffic advisory. Their onboard system saw it too. I checked the event log. 0202, XPDR 144F acquired. 0202, track established. 0213, conflict gerade. No sensor I detached to the acquisition. No longer with Flight 4827. No final truth in the acquisitions are dictated to the acquisition. No defining that it faced the beginning that the flight it has ejected the problem. No final different. No sensor was active the acquisition. No gale in the acquisition would move specifically shudder within initiative. No rimming the groping of the acquisition. 0202, track established. 0202, track established. 0202, crack established. No final different. No conflict greater that I didn't convert it in the cloud. No plan with Flight 482, track established. No sensor was acted the acquisition. 0202, track established, no violent something attached. No origin sweep. The system had simply accepted it. The timer dropped under 10 minutes. 000957. I created an internal entry. Collision avoidance triggered for Flight 4827. Conflicting object broadcasting transponder ID 144F. No primary radar return. No corresponding flight plan. Object acquired at 2:02, 11 minutes prior to predicted loss of separation. I paused, then added the only accurate descriptor. Pattern unknown. On the scope, 4827 continued forward at cruise altitude, and the system continued counting down toward an aircraft that wasn't there. By 0340, 144F had triggered 3 additional advisories. Different aircraft, different corridors, same parameters. Each time the object appeared in the system exactly 11 minutes before predicted loss of separation. Altitude matched the assigned cruise level of the real aircraft. Speed, consistent. Heading, precise. No primary return. No filed plan. No origin radar. Supervisors initially categorized it as signal reflection, atmospheric ducting, possibly a distant transponder bleeding into range. But ducting doesn't reposition itself with mathematical intent. I pulled the previous 48 hours of event logs and filtered for unidentified transponder acquisitions. 6 matches, all labeled 144F. Each acquisition timestamp preceded the conflict calculation by 11 minutes, down to the second. 202, 257, 319, 340. The interval wasn't random. It was anticipatory. I overlaid projected paths. The phantom track intersected with high-traffic corridors only, never empty airspace. If ignored, the system's predictive model showed an 80% probability of separation loss in 5 of the 6 events. The real aircraft had adjusted course each time. The collision never occurred. It looked less like interference, more like correction. IT ran integrity checks across the automation layer. No unauthorized access, no corrupted packets, no injected signal from external networks. The transponder replies registered as internally validated, as if originating inside monitored airspace yet attached to no radar sweep. I isolated the first acquisition at 202 and traced its coordinates backward. The object's origin plotted over an empty stretch of rural terrain. No airport, no restricted airspace, no known beacon source. Still, the system treated it as active traffic. At 411, another advisory populated. Conflict, 144F, Sector 12. Predicted loss of separation, 001059. I watched the timer begin its familiar descent. Then something changed. Without manual input, the system updated the object label. Not unknown, not temporary. It assigned a structured call sign. Flight 144F. Controllers didn't name unidentified traffic. Automation didn't generate commercial formatting without database linkage. I checked the event log for user action. There was none. The designation originated from the automation core itself. Across the room, someone muttered, "Do we have a ghost filing flight plans now?" No one laughed. On my screen, Flight 144F held steady at flight level 360. Clean vector, stable speed, converging calmly toward another aircraft that had no visual contact. The timer dropped below 10 minutes again. And for the first time since 213, I stopped thinking of it as a glitch. The system wasn't reacting to something in the sky. It was tracking something it expected to be there. At 5:02, with 144F quiet for the first time in 40 minutes, I stopped watching the live board and started digging backward. If automation had assigned a structured call sign, it had to be pulling from somewhere. I queried archived flight records for 144 across the national database. 3 cargo flights, 1 charter, nothing active. Then I removed the suffix filter. Flight 144, 1987. Status: lost. The record was thin, pre-digital, scanned summaries and transcribed reports. Commercial passenger aircraft, en route at flight level 350. Last known contact within a corridor that overlapped our current sector boundary. Cause listed as suspected mid-air collision. Second aircraft never identified. No confirmed radar contact for conflicting traffic. I opened the archived transcript of the final exchange. Traffic advisory received. We don't have them on scope. Confirm conflict bearing. The transcript ended mid-line. Recovery reports noted debris scattered across rural farmland, same coordinates I had mapped earlier as the origin point of 144F's first acquisition. I cross-referenced headings. The original Flight 144's final recorded vector matched the Phantom's current recurring trajectory within less than 2 degrees. Altitude deviation, 1,000 feet. Time of disappearance, 2:14 local. I checked our first advisory, 2:13, 1 minute difference, 37 years apart. I ran predictive modeling overlaying the 1987 route with current live corridors. The software drew clean intersection points, modern aircraft flying almost identical paths to the one lost decades earlier. The Phantom's track wasn't random. It was mirroring. At 5:18, a new acquisition line appeared. XPDR 144F acquired, 5:07. 11 minutes before the projected conflict, I shifted to raw radar again, stripping away smoothing layers. For 5 seconds, the screen resolved something new. Not a smear, not noise. A solid primary paint, faint but geometric, directly aligned with the 144F tag. Then it vanished. Only the transponder remained. I replayed the sweep twice. The primary reflection had mass. Cross-section consistent with a narrow-body commercial aircraft. The room felt smaller. I pulled the 1987 manifest file. 183 souls on board. Captain listed by name. The same name embedded in the archived audio file. At 5:28, the conflict timer ticked under 10 minutes again. Flight 144F held steady at flight level 360, speed 462 knots, heading 081, identical to the final parameters recorded before the 1987 disappearance. Except this time, the system was not losing it. It was tracking it. And every projected path ended the same way. With 144F completing the route it never finished. By 6 o'clock, higher authority was looped in. Recommendation from operations: treat 144F as automation artifact. Suppress advisories for controlled evaluation. Translation: ignore it once. At 6:12, the opportunity presented itself. Flight 7712 eastbound at flight level 360 on a near identical corridor to the earlier events. The system generated the familiar acquisition line. XPDR 144F acquired, 0601, predicted loss of separation, 001058. Supervisor gave the directive quietly. Do not reroute. Maintain current vector. The controller acknowledged. On my screen, the convergence graph tightened, 2 arcs moving toward the same invisible point. 9 minutes. 8. No primary radar return. 7. I watched the raw sweep again, looking for any hint of reflection. Nothing. 6 minutes. The cabin crew of 7712 checked in normally. Smooth air, clear skies. 5 minutes. TCAS alert triggered in their cockpit. Traffic! Traffic! The controller instructed them to maintain heading. 4 minutes. The advisory escalated to a resolution advisory. Climb! Climb! There was a half-second of hesitation in the pilot's voice before they complied. 3 minutes. Altitude deviation registered. 7,712, climbing 800 feet above assigned level. At the exact projected convergence timestamp, every wind shear sensor along that corridor spiked. Sudden wake turbulence report, unforecast, unattributed. Flight 7712's black box later recorded a proximity warning. Estimated object within 400 feet. No visual contact, no radar body, but something displaced air. In the control room, no one spoke. The system updated automatically. Collision event. Averted. No one typed that. I checked the automation logs. The entry originated from the same process that had assigned the call sign, Core Conflict Resolution Module. Across the board, Flight 144F continued on its heading as if nothing had happened, not vanishing at the convergence point, not dispersing like interference. It simply adjusted course. New vector plotted. This time, the projected path did not intersect with another commercial aircraft. It bent gradually south, toward controlled airspace surrounding our regional field, toward the approach corridor. The timer reset. Predicted airspace intersection, 001800. I felt it then. The shift. For the first time since 0213, 144F was no longer preventing a collision. It was continuing a flight plan. And the destination marker blinking at the end of its projected route was not another aircraft. It was a runway. At 6:47, Flight 144F adjusted altitude. Not abruptly, not like a glitch correcting itself. A gradual, procedural descent. Flight level 360 to flight level 340, rate consistent with standard arrival profile. No controller issued the instruction, no pilot acknowledged it, yet the transponder data updated cleanly. Speed reduced incrementally, 462 knots to 438. Heading refined 3 degrees west, aligning with the initial approach fix for our regional runway. I opened the event log and felt the cold settle deeper. 6:36, vector adjustment initiated. 6:41, descent profile stable. 6:44, approach corridor aligned. The entries originated from Automation Core. No human input attached. I switched to communications monitoring. At 6:52, the inbound frequency registered an activation spike. No audible voice at first, just a carrier wave breaking squelch. Then static, low, granular, sustained for 4 seconds. A voice followed. Regional approach, request clearance. It was distorted, filtered through compression artifacts like degraded archival tape, but it was structured, controlled, professional. The controller froze. Say again? Aircraft calling regional approach? Silence. I flagged the audio buffer and ran voice print comparison against the archived 1987 transcript. Match confidence, 82%. Captain of Flight 144. Declared deceased. At 6:54, without authorization, the system populated a pending strip in the arrival queue. Flight 144F. Arrival. Souls on board, 183. That field does not autofill without a manifest. I pulled the data source. It referenced the 1987 passenger registry. Names, ages, seat assignments. Status updated. From deceased to in transit. The runway lighting system cycled on. Full approach sequence. No tower command issued it. I checked facilities control. No manual override. On radar, 144F descended through 12,000 feet. Still no primary paint. Yet ground-based wind sensors along the approach corridor began registering displacement consistent with large aircraft wake. Trees along the perimeter camera feeds bent slightly, just enough to register motion. At 6:58, the controller found his voice. Unidentified aircraft broadcasting 144F, you are not cleared to land. Confirm go around. The inbound frequency crackled again. Unable. The signal clipped. Continuing approach. Automation flagged the event as stabilized descent. Runway assignment locked. Across my screen, every commercial departure was placed on hold. Airspace cleared. Not by human decision, by system priority shift. Flight 144F was now the only traffic that mattered. Altitude, 3,000 feet. Distance, 9 nautical miles. And for the first time since 2013, the predicted event timer did not count toward a conflict. It counted toward arrival. 000412 to runway threshold. The system updated status automatically. Flight 144F, final approach. And beneath it, in small gray text, route completion pending. At 7:01, the tower denied clearance again. 144F, you are not cleared to land. Execute go-around immediately. No response. Altitude, 1,800 feet. Speed, 172 knots. Glide slope stable. Every metric aligned with a textbook ILS approach. Except there was still no aircraft on primary radar. Then the automation layer shifted. The tower console flickered once. Clearance field updated. Landing cleared. Runway 27. Controller hands weren't on the panel. Override source? Automation core. Conflict resolution. I felt something change in the room. Not noise, not movement. Just pressure. Subtle. The way air feels different before a storm front arrives. Exterior runway cameras activated automatically, cycling to live feed. Empty tarmac. Approach lights, steady. At 900 feet, AGL, the wind shear sensors spiked again. A rolling compression moved down the runway centerline, visible in heat shimmer against cold morning air. The audio monitor picked it up next. Low-frequency rumble. Not loud, but sustained. At 400 feet, ground vibration sensors along the threshold registered weight displacement, distributed across landing gear configuration for a narrow-body aircraft. 3 points of pressure. Left main, right main, nose. The cameras showed nothing, but the runway surface flexed. Tire smoke appeared, brief, pale bursts curling from invisible contact points. Touchdown. The rumble intensified for 3 seconds, then steadied into rollout. Speed decreasing. 138 knots. 117. 92. Every deceleration parameter populated the board in real time. The control room was silent. I checked primary radar one more time. Nothing. But ground tracking sensors, the same ones that guide real aircraft to taxi lanes, began mapping movement. A clean vector from runway 27 to taxiway Bravo. The system treated it like any other arrival. Arrival completed, 7:03. Gate assignment auto-populated, gate C4. Passenger manifest synced to ground operations. I opened the manifest again. 183 names, each status updated, from in transit to arrived. Facilities reported no visual contact at C4, yet the jet bridge pressure sensor registered engagement. Cabin door alignment confirmed. For 3 seconds, the security camera at gate C4 distorted, frame warping inward as if heat passed directly in front of the lens, then stabilized. Board updated. Deplaning in progress. No one moved in the room. No one spoke. At 7:05, internal staffing software flagged a minor discrepancy. Operations headcount +1. Unassigned personnel detected within control level. I checked the access logs. No badge swipe, no door alert. But occupancy sensors along the corridor outside our room showed movement. A thermal fluctuation passing toward the stairwell. Slow. Deliberate. On my screen, Flight 144F status shifted one final time, from on ground to at gate. And beneath it, in green, all passengers accounted for. No collision, no wreckage, no visible aircraft. But the route had been completed. The morning shift arrived at 7:18. Sunlight filtered through the east windows, flattening everything into something ordinary. Coffee cups, routine chatter, screens filled with normal traffic flow. No visible aircraft at gate C4. No debris on runway 27. No abnormal field reports. Facilities logged the earlier sensor spikes as equipment calibration variants. Wind shear alert archived. Runway camera distortion attributed to compression artifact. Official explanation: automation cascade triggered by corrupted transponder echo. Incident classification downgraded. But the logs remained. I accessed the archived arrival record. Flight 144F. Arrival confirmed. Time 7:03. Souls on board 183. Status: arrived. Passenger registry cross-synced with national database. Each name from the 1987 manifest had updated overnight. Status field no longer read deceased. It read arrived. Location code attached to all 183 entries. Regional field, gate C4. Timestamp 7:03. No departure record scheduled. I opened staffing software again. Headcount discrepancy resolved. Operations total returned to baseline. No alert, no missing personnel report. But the directory search function behaved differently. When I entered my own name, the system hesitated, a half-second longer than usual. 2 entries appeared, both identical. Same employment ID, same access clearance. Different assignment. Profile 1, Air Traffic Systems Monitoring, active. Profile 2, Flight Operations, 144F, active. Start date listed, 1987. I checked badge activity. No unauthorized access, no corridor alerts overnight. Occupancy sensors showed no further anomalies after 7:05. The system had balanced itself. Conflict resolution complete. At 8 o'clock, a routine automation cycle began clearing archived conflicts from the overnight queue. Each advisory tied to 144F disappeared in sequence. 213, cleared. 319, cleared. 411, cleared. 612, cleared. The final entry remained. 7:03. Arrival confirmed. Status: closed. At 8:14, a new line appeared at the bottom of the board. No alarm tone, no amber highlight, just a scheduled event. Flight 144F. Departure time, 2:13. Next day. Route: filed. Filed. Not pending. Not unknown. Filed. Destination field populated automatically. Original 1987 corridor. Altitude: FL360. Speed: 462 knots. I looked at the time. 7:22. 24 hours until departure. No one else in the room reacted. No one else appeared to see it. The automation layer no longer flagged 144F as conflict traffic. It was integrated, registered, expected. I opened a final internal note and entered the only accurate summary. Collision avoidance no longer required. I saved the log. At 2:13 tomorrow, the system would begin counting down again. And this time, it would not be preventing a disaster. It would be maintaining a schedule. Incident Report 06-144-F remains classified as automation anomaly. No structural faults were identified. No radar failures confirmed. No physical aircraft was recovered. Official position maintains that the system experienced a corrupted transponder echo originating from legacy data. The arrival record, however, remains in the archive. Flight 144F is scheduled to depart at 2:13 every night. If you've made it this far, you are now part of the record. The incident archive updates weekly. If you choose to monitor further anomalies, subscribe to Campfire Horror Stories. Review the logs. Leave your analysis in the comments. And if this report unsettled you, share it. Because the system doesn't erase events. It integrates them. Until the next report, stay observant.